Good morning and welcome to the Cloffice. I hope that you are well this morning. I was just reading today in 2 Kings and I came across chapter 4, which is the story of the widow and the olive oil. It says, the wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he revered the Lord." Now that's important. There's a widow woman and she's in her husband was part of the company of prophets, and she calls out to say, "You know that my husband revered the Lord." So that's a really important point. He's a God-fearing prophet. But now his creditors are coming to take my 2 boys as his slaves. So then Elisha says, "Well, what do you have? What can you give?" She said, "I have nothing except this small jar of olive oil." Elisha says, "Go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few." Now that's another important point. Don't ask for just a few. Then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into all the jars. As each is filled, put it to one side. She left him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. When all the jars were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another one." But he replied, "There is not a jar left." Then the oil stopped flowing. She went and told the man of God, and he said, "Go, sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your sons can live on what is left." This is such a great story. It's a great story of seeing the faithfulness of God to take care of those who love him and who fear him and who call on his name. And we see that with this widow, with this woman. And it's so important that even though she was so desperate, number one, she called on the Lord. And back then they cried out to the Lord, they prayed to the Lord, but they also went to the prophets to speak on their behalf. And so she did that. She went to Elisha. She was God-fearing, her husband was God-fearing, and God was faithful to them. And the other part that's so important is that he said, get as many jars as you can. Don't just get a few jars. God is looking for as much as we bring to him, as much as we give him, he will fill that. If we just give him a little bit, that's what he's going to fill. And it might not fulfill all that he's called us to do. It might not bless us as much as he wants to bless us. But when we get as much as we can of ourselves and we give it to him, he fills us with his oil, with his Holy Spirit. The more of our life we give to him, the more of our life he fills to bless us, to bless others, but ultimately to give him glory. So my friends, I want to encourage you today. Don't just give reserved parts of yourself to the Lord. Give everything, every part of your life to the Lord. Your feelings, give him your sleep, give him your awake time, give him your job. That doesn't mean you quit your job. You just give him everything about your job. You give him your family, you give him your time, everything, and see how he fills it and uses it for his glory. Have an amazing day, and God bless.